A bag of grains. Once in a village lived a rich farmer with his 4 daughters. All his daughters were married and were happily living their life. Farmer was getting old and there was no one else to look after his property. So one day Farmer thought of testing capability of his daughters so that he can decide what responsibility he can give to his daughter. He called all his daughters and gave them all 4 of them a bag of grains of wheat and asked them to use them in best way possible and then come back to him after 1 year. Exactly after 1 year all daughters came back to their father's house. Father welcomed all of them with grand party. After that he called his daughter one by one to his room. First he called the eldest daughter in his room and asked about what she did with grains given to her. First daughter replied, "Father, I feed those grains to flock of birds I saw on way back to home." After this farmer called his second daughter and asked same. Second daughter replied, "Father, I thought those grains were sacred. So I mixed those with other grains kept for community food service, so that everyone could have it." After this came third daughter. Father asked her about grains. She replied, "Grains that you gave me are keep safe with me. I bought them back as it is." Then came fourth and youngest daughter. Father was disappointed by replies he got till now. He asked fourth daughter about grains. Youngest daughter said, "Father, I don't have those grains with me now, but I need 2 bullocks and men to help me get back grains back here." All other daughters were present there and laughed listening to her answer. They laughed thinking that why would she need bullock and men to get that bag of grains back here at house. Father was confused so asked her, "Why do you need men to bring wheat here?" Daughter smiled and replied, "I sowed those grains and now after a year I have grown good crop with those and I need bullocks to harvest those in field, and men to bring wheat back to house in carts." Father was happy to listen to her and knew that she was the wisest of all and handed her everything. Moral: wise thinking and decisions can give productive results. When a person is hardworking and use available assets wisely, he or she can get good results. Reason for such policy: once an old brewery decided to install a new line for canning so that it enables products to be marketed to the supermarket sector. It was major change for a little company, so it invited all local dignitaries and employees to witness this big change. All came on the day of inauguration of new canning line. After new canning line had been switched on successfully and all formalities were completed, all guests were relaxed and get together in small groups and had drinks and enjoyed buffet. In a corner stood 3 men who were discussing about transport and distribution. One of them was present distribution manager, other was 2 past employees who once manager in distribution department of company and were very senior and retired. All 3 men represented 3 generation of people worked in distribution management company over span of 50 years. When all were discussing about the process of distribution, present manager shared about stress because of company policy. According to distribution policy, long deliveries to be made on Monday and Tuesday and short deliveries on Fridays and other deliveries other days of week. He continued, "It's so difficult to schedule things efficiently with such policy and new cans and high demands of supermarket." Other nodded in agreement. Manager who was predecessor sympathized, "It was same in my days. It always seemed strange to me that even if trucks returned early on Mondays still those can't be used on Tuesday for little runs because all local deliveries had to be done on Fridays." Third man, who was the oldest manager, tried to think hard and tried to recall about the reason for such policy and then after a while he smiled and said, "I think I remember now." He said, "During Second World War fuel rationing were introduced so we stopped using trucks and went on to using horses. On Mondays horses were well rested, hence were took for long deliveries. By Fridays horses were so tired that they could only handle the short local drops. After this, soon after the opening of new Canning Line Company changed its delivery policy. Moral: we should not follow everything blindly. In past, traditions and rules were set according to their present need, but with time conditions change, and we should try learn meaning behind such policies or traditions and change if needed. Funny yet interesting farmer's reply. At an old chapel, all locals and remote people used to come up for Sunday services. One time it was freezing snow outside, and no one came to chapel except one farmer came several miles to the chapel even after it was snowing and freezing cold outside. Now there were only two people at chapel, one was clergyman and other was the farmer. Seeing that there is only one person in the audience, clergyman, expecting a mutually helpful reacting from him, said, "I am not sure if it's worth proceeding with the services. Might we should better go to our warm houses and have hot drink?" "Well, I am just a simple farmer," said farmer. Farmer continued, "But when I go to feed my herd, and if there is only turns up for food, I sure don't leave him hungry." Clergyman felt ashamed and started to deliver his services. Clergyman recited hymns and readings, last the services for couple of hours. Finishing proudly, clergyman felt very happy and thanked farmer for the lesson that, no matter how small the need is, but our duty remains. We should complete out duties even if there is only small need. Before both take off for their homes, clergyman asked farmer, "Was that okay?" Farmer replied, "Well, I am just a simple farmer. But when I go to feed my herd, and if only one turns up for food, that I sure don't force to eat it what I have bought for the whole herd." Moral: we should learn that our duty remains regardless of the level of need, but we also need to make sure that we adapt to change and deliver according to the requirement.